Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the BHD podcast. We got a really special guest here today. Really shows how small of a world it is, but we're joined here by Acadia Axeman football star Jesse Boudreau. He played 4 years with the team. Jesse grew up in Bedford playing Cheetahs football, and we actually grew up across the street from each other back in church court growing up. So it's quite crazy that after all these years we're brought together here on this platform. But Jesse, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Oh man, we're super pumped to have you on. And Jesse, I would like to know, was Himmy super competitive as a kid, or like was that something that he always had going on there? Because the guy hates to lose at just about anything now.
Yeah, no, there was always some road hockey or even some flashlight tag, It's just always
my goodness. The flashlight tag got absurdly competitive. I remember that. But I mean, we had a couple, like, because Andrew Scott was also lived right beside you. I mean, a couple star athletes came from a street that only has maybe like 15 to 20 homes top. So
yeah, exactly.
pretty small court off of Bayview Drive, like produced a couple star athletes there.
Yeah, and before even our time, Andrew Scott's brother there, JD Howlett.
I know JD. He's a heck of a baller, man.
Yeah, no question. I think I've watched more free throws on 47 Church Court grinding than all my years.
Goodness. Yeah, those guys were always there with the net.
Oh, that's too funny. That's good. Yeah. So Jesse, my first question that I got for you, man, is, obviously you're a big football guy, and actually you're our first football guy that we've had on. So super pumped to chat a little football about you. And huge that you're helping out with the Cheetahs now, and I think that just goes to show, you're devoting your free time to help kids, develop as football players and as young men. But when did you kind of develop your love for sports and for football in particular?
Yeah, so much like probably many on this panel, like played sports growing up and stuff. But like back in that day, it was more just like hanging out with friends and just getting like on the court, a little exercise, get out of the house and stuff. But then, yeah, I was always a basketball kid growing up. And even to this day, like a lot of my friends are basketball people. And then, yeah, it took, I wasn't going to play football actually in grade 10. And my mom just started bawling her eyes out at the dinner table because I wouldn't try out for football. So I was like, all right, Mom, like, I'll try it. I'll give it a go. And like, it's one of those moments in life where you just kind of don't look back because obviously stuck with the sport. But where I truly fell in love with football was like, got the lucky enough to play football in Nova Scotia and just saw the kids at like Ontario or BC and just got to see like how like competitive it is. Like we live in such a small pond here. We have like a lot of stud athletes that obviously come out. But was just seeing that like, hey, there's like some big fish out here. Like there's something to keep growing towards. And like with football, even like I love the sport, but you play 8 games a season. It's a small season. So you got to love training for that sport. And I really fell in love with time in the gym with the guys and stuff like that. And so the actual like more the journey of the sport was what I truly ended up falling in love with.
I love how you put that, man. It's all about the beauty of the journey, right? Like that's just, those are the guys you go to battle with every day. You put all that work in, and football, you're right, is one where you don't play a lot of games in a season, and just the wear and tear, but the preparation is so key. So that's a really cool perspective. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, 100%.
Adam, we'll tee you up for your first question tonight, buddy. What do you got on your mind, brother?
What year did you play at Acadia?
Yeah, it would have been like probably 2015 to 2019, I think, if had that, yeah.
Ooh.
Denny's a big fan of AUS sports, so he's definitely trying to think back to see if he remembers any of those Acadia teams back in the day. But we'll kind of bring it back to like kind of just like minor football. Like, I mean, football was a sport that I always kind of wish I kind of had to play, but always kind of have to pick and choose what you do. But did you grow up like playing Bedford Saints minor football? Like how like the grassroots system bring you all the way to Acadia?
Yeah, and definitely played the Saints just for a couple of years because I like decided to focus on basketball. Much like I mean, you have to, even in like the small pool in Nova Scotia, like it's so competitive and stuff. And sports, I think, have really evolved over the last little while, where you have people, whether it's, especially I think hockey kind of started it, where it's like you really have to like specify on hockey if you want to compete at the highest level. And so yeah, no, me and the friends always like used to like be so into basketball. So played 2 years as like running back. It was kind of like, this is kind of fun, like whatever. And then
I mean, you had some size on you at a young age. Like, I mean, I definitely felt like the undersized kid on the street between you and the Scott family, because I mean, Andrew's got to be like at least 6'6", if not taller than
yeah,
that.
exactly.
I mean,
Small
JD was one of the biggest people I've ever seen in my life.
yeah, exactly. And the older brother, Alexander, it's kind of funny too. You hear those like small islands where they're just breeding NFL players and stuff. It's just the old church court. I bred some tall specimens, and also Brett. I know we're asking me questions and stuff, but it was so nice to see your success there with the rowing. I know you've been grinding at that for a long time, and
yeah, thank you so much, Jesse. I appreciate it lots. I mean, it was definitely a sport I picked up later. Like, I think I was mostly moved out of church court before I even started the sport, which is crazy enough. But no, that means a lot to me, man.
Yeah, I love that. And it's much like, it's funny too with the whether it's like the competitiveness that you learn from the street or what I like took away from basketball and stuff. It just like helps with football, like it just transpires through all the sports and like all areas of life. But yeah, no, had a great time with the Saints program. Like, and one of the big reasons coaching is just like realizing like what it takes to make someone want to play a university level sport. And it means they have to fall in love with something at a young age. And like people have to organize that and put that through. Like it was actually right at the last CPA football game there where Bob Brenner just passed away. Like he did 40 or to 60 years of the Saints program. Big reason why I was there today. And like everyone from the coaches at CPA to like even a lot of the players, like the only reason they're even standing there is because of those minor league programs. So although just a couple of years at a different position, it needed to be there for me to keep going on.
That's awesome. I know the Bremner Bowl. That's a huge. That game has been around for so long, and it's such a cool tradition. So I'm glad you still partake in that, and it's still around, and it's such a competitive game. But my next question for you, buddy, is so obviously a great career at Acadia. You're now coaching the Cheetahs. What would you say are kind of your most memorable moments or your defining moments as an athlete and also as a coach?
Yeah, love that question. Yeah, like obviously all the wins with the gang and stuff, like whether it's even like a win under a bar, like lifting more than you ever did and celebrating that, whether it's you or someone else doing, or less of a meathead answer of just wins in the like actual football field. Like getting to sell, especially like at Acadia, like getting to be able to be in a small school, everyone like actually had a passion for like the sports that were going on. So getting to like celebrate those your successes with kind of other people. And then also like just being close to the hometown with just only a jaunt off to Acadia, like whether it's grandparents coming up to the game or parents and all that stuff. Those are definitely like just the biggest highlights. Obviously being able to get an AOS championship was nice. And then, but also like, I mean, like you have all the good stuff, but like when you look back on like the sports as you grew up and stuff, it's not even so much about the games, but just like the trips to the games with the guys and all that kind of stuff. And then even those lows, like just what you learn from it, and like what you can kind of take away. It's just, and I know us as like sports guys, like it's just like maybe not necessarily always separated from the sport a little bit, but just getting to look back on like all the stuff you got to learn and skills you got to pick up, such as like team and just going through adversity and all that stuff.
Man, that's so valuable, right? Like those memories and all those times that you had where you dealt with adversity and you guys came out of it better people. And I think that's super valuable. And I'm really glad you mentioned that as well. That's a fantastic point, man, because when it comes down to it, the chances of us going pro aren't the greatest, but if you have those memories and you have those positive things to look back on, like, what more can you want out of a sport? And I know I have the same thing with my buddies, and I think that's super cool that you mentioned that. Adam, we're going to tee you up for your second question tonight, brother. What else you got for Jesse?
Well, my second one's another Acadia based one. So, you say you played in 2019 as well?
Yeah, I would have maybe just 2014, 2018, maybe. But
yeah. So you would have played with Bailey Feltmate as well, would?
Yeah. He was actually one of my recruits. So when I was in probably second or third year, he was a recruit. So it was nice to connect him on that, and then obviously got to play as a linebacker with him.
So you got to wine him and dine him, eh?
Yeah, you got it.
Hey, the only difference is he's playing with the Hamilton, my Hamilton Tiger Cats now.
Smart kid and an absolute freak. Like, just played so above his size. And not that he's a small guy by any means, but like you just like sometimes get that eye test, and he just plays above even that and stuff. So yeah, no question.
That whole defense was like, holy crap! Like with yourself, Adam Malance and Bailey Feltmate, like that was a defense that looked like the 2015 New England Patriots were crying out loud.
Love that. Like, and honestly, I'd attest that to like, obviously you gotta have the athletes and they gotta have the willpower, but Adam Lance was coached by who's now the head coach of Mount A there, Coach Pete. Absolute lights out defensive line coach, and then Coach Shad has been producing all Canadians at the linebacker position for I don't know how many years. But no, just across the board. But yeah, no, those two coaches I owed them my entire time were absolute lights out, and helped produce those guys.
Yeah, well,
that's awesome.
I always respected Acadia for their defense.
Yeah, no question. And AUS is the most. It cycles through. Like every team kind of has their time. I mean, it's been a long time since like an AUS team in football was dominant for 3 straight years. And so, kind of trying to keep that edge going. It seems to be tough in that AUS division.
Yeah, I mean, it's I've always loved watching AUS football. Even going to the SMU game on Saturday with my dad for the SMU homecoming. But I've always admired like what Acadia had, especially like around their football team. Like Acadia in the fall, it's the most beautiful place in the province, I think, bar none. And like, yeah, you talked about how close the community is, and you got a sweet setup with the school there. Like how is just like the atmosphere, like day in, like day out, being like a football player in a town that absolutely loves football and loves its school and is very proud of it.
Yeah, I love that. Honestly, I've always said too, like, we're so lucky on the East Coast. Like, university is what you're going to make it of it, like, and stuff. And I think there's opportunity to make it an amazing experience, whether you're at SMU, St. FX, across the board. Like, none of them are like even like too big, but then also like you have SMU's like in downtown Halifax. There's a little experience there. But the Wolfville experience, it was awesome. Like everyone like so supportive, and like just obviously spent a lot of time in the athletic center. And so even just like the camaraderie between like different sports teams, like going to support other people's sports teams and stuff. One thing at like the football team, and it's funny looking back, because like we used to go to all the basketball games. We had like our little football section right behind the opponent's bench. And we would make as much
I'm sure they love that.
Yeah. And so like you just know that like everyone in the stadium thinks that we're probably like to Friday night, like we're super drunk and stuff. We're all just sober, just trying to like support our team and stuff. But yeah, no, it got to the point where like we gave the basketball team there, gave them kind of an advantage, as every single timeout, the opponent would move their bench literally to the other side of the court, like away from us. So part of their timeout was moving all their chairs. Stuff like that.
That's awesome.
That's wicked.
Yeah, I think that kind of just goes to show like just like how willing people were to kind of support and just the atmosphere around it was freaking awesome.
That's so cool, man. You don't get that at every university. So to have that community feeling is very cool. My next question for you, Jesse, and you talked a bit about your coaches. you're now coaching the Cheetahs. What's your leadership style like with the young players? Is it are you more of a vocal guy or kind of a strategist? What would your leadership style be?
Yeah, it's like I always like growing up, always considered myself to be a bit of a leader, but like some looking back too, just like I think you kind of grow as a leader over time. But yeah, I was definitely as a kid, like I was more of like a vocal, like in your face and stuff. And now, like especially with coaching, like I just want to be like a good support system, like whatever team I'm on, whether it's like for work or for like the team, such as CPA, like it's just. I think confidence is the most underrated thing in sports. Like there's times where confidence is just going to beat technique every single time. And so just like boosting those guys up, like being like in basketball, even like being like, that guy can't guard you. Like you got him all day, like, and stuff like that. Like even as a coach, like I still am just like, even when a guy like makes a play or something, just like that should be expected. Like we're not done. Job's not finished, just like keeping guys excited and dialed in. And just like whenever there is an opportunity to celebrate a successor, there is just kind of going over the top with it just to try to, like boost that confidence.
Got to pump their tires a bit, man, right? You got to pump the boys up. I love that. I'm the same way.
Yeah. And there's something to be said. I mean, there's certain, and like you kind of have to be a chameleon as like, there's certain guys who pump them up. They're going to get a little too full, a little too cocky, but you get the guys that like, if they have every like ability, they have every aspect, if they just believed in themselves, they'd be the best like player on the court. And so there's like, always just trying to like pick and choose like how you lead someone or interact and hopefully be able to read the situation right. But I think in the end, like, just get the right tools in the tool belt for them and then get them confident enough to pull them out when they need to. And
I love how you put that, man. That's you. It's like you're the next Bill Belichick coming out here, right? Like they're just spinning off. That's just a great outlook. You got to coach every kid differently, right? Because certain kids need motivation in different ways than others do. So you got to read your players and you got to get to know them and build those relationships and go from there. So I think that's a really good point.
And then also like something else to add there, like there's also the coaching style, like. There's kind of what Kentucky does, like they're like, especially their basketball team, like they care about breeding NBA players. Like it's nuts the amount of first round picks out of Kentucky over the last like decade here. And they obviously great team, like they win championships and stuff, but it's probably not their first focus, but you can kind of tell they really care about like getting that person to the next level. And I think like also as like a high school coach, I think there's some piece to that. Like there's something to be said, like a non-winning season, but that gets 7 guys to get to enjoy the AUS experience or the university football experience. There's something to be said there too. So both like, maybe we'd be a better team if we put this guy at defensive line, but like he's a big defensive lineman for high school, but he's the perfect linebacker size for university. So it's like, okay, let's see if maybe we can be successful as a team with him here and still being able to put him in position to not be an undersized guy for university and in a good spot. So
that's one thing that I've always admired about football is just the complexity of your lineup. Like there's so many different switches you can make and stuff like that. It's just, it's almost overwhelming for me. I know as a hockey coach, I just send my D out and there we go. But like you guys can do adjustments on the fly. Like it's really cool. So I got a lot of that from admiration for any football coach because there's a lot to it, and it's quite a skill that you have, man.
Oh, I appreciate that. Anything you do for like your life, it ends up getting easy, no matter if it's a complex thing or anything like that. I just remember like growing up, like I just was always getting explained football, like from my dad, like nights and nights, like why does this happen? Like you watch CFL, next thing you know, the rules are all different, like whatever and stuff. But one great thing about football is like no matter the body type and stuff, from freak athletes to guys that are freaked athletes with a little cushion around them, like and stuff for O-line, D-line. There's a position for everyone, and like even you can start at a certain position and you can have one off season and you transform your body and you're able to really like be fast enough to play a DB or whatever it might be. It's cool that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What you got next, Danny?
Well, I got a comment. Actually, I find sometimes linebackers are so fast you think they're DBs, but
Yeah, no, exactly there. It's one of those things too. You get the guys that somehow look slow and can play DB and no one can like get by them, and then you get some of those faster guys that look a little smaller at linebacker, but they got like a little, mean streak on them and they can pull it off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now I got a question for you. Now that you're like a coach at the Cheetahs, like I know a lot of people like they don't start football until they get to high school sometimes. How do you like kind of introduce someone in the sport that really is so complex between the positions, the rules, and all that stuff? Like I've been watching football for a good chunk of my life, and I swear I still don't know all the rules. I still see things in TV, and I'm like, what the hell was that call? How do you like really get people engaged in the game so early? Other than the practices 5 days a week, like that's something that I don't think any team grinds more than the football team in September when they're out there like every single day, multiple hours a day.
Yeah, no. Well, it's funny enough. Like even us as a coaching staff, I think it was game 2 this season. We're just like something happened, and we're just like, oh, like the clock doesn't stop on that. Like we even learned something new, and like our coaching staff like have obviously been at it for a long time. It's one of those things like you fill someone with too much information, they're gonna play slow. And so there is a bare minimum you need to know about football to be super successful at it, and then let the refs kind of deal with all the nitty gritty. But yeah, no, like the start of training camp every year, just you really got to slow it down. Just go like right to the basics. Like, like this is a wide receiver. He is on offense, and you see all these little dashes on the field. Those are hash marks, and you just gotta really like break it down and just keep building. And that's one thing. Like this being my second year at coaching CPA. Like first year I really tried to talk university football language with high school kids that vary so much. Like I got grade 12s this year that like sometimes like do know more football than I knew, like and stuff, and the grade 10s that are kind of just getting started. And so like obviously you kind of need to move the group together. And last year I tried to make things too complex too quickly and like lost a couple guys. So it's just making sure you're bringing that whole group together, and then those guys that are in grade 12 and maybe they have more tactics they can worry about is like pull them aside and be like, okay, like you could have done this. So much on the leadership thing, just like back on individualizing things. But yeah, no, you definitely don't want to have a kid's brain blow up on first day and get them discouraged. So just kind of slowly moving things into it.
I think it's cool too, like how you can go through the season, right? Like you set short-term goals for guys, and as they get better and they progress in their game, then you can kind of add those more complex or different strategies for them. So that's a cool way of looking at it for sure. So my next question, you were a linebacker, correct, Jesse?
Yeah. Played linebacker. Yeah.
So who would you model? Like, I know it's tough to compare yourself to a pro and we don't want to pump your tires too much, but like who would you kind of model your style of play after? If you were looking at like a professional,
we're all about pumping tires here.
Yeah,
so.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. No need to get them to blow up. Honestly, like I would say like more again, like nothing like a Ray Lewis guy, but was never a huge pass focused fella. More of a run stopper.
Like that.
Yeah, and like to I was during season I was a little thicker than most, and so yeah, just a little plug there in the middle, for sure.
Love that.
Yeah.
I had to ask that question.
No, of course.
And who's your team? Because we got a wide
I was just about to ask that. We got a wide range
of football teams
who
here.
we enjoy here. Well, I don't even want to say who I cheer for anymore because I'm ready to throw in the fucking towel.
Yeah, no, like the AOS, things cycle through. You got your teams get their dynasties, but yeah, no. Funny enough, like I've always been like a player guy. I think like if I have to pick a team, like my first ever like football team was Green Bay Packers, but then Brett Favre left as a kid, and I cried a little bit, and
that would have been heartbreaking for sure.
Yeah, it must have been so tough seeing him in a Vikings jersey.
Oh man.
Might be pretty tough to see him in prison in the next
year. He
year.
can't pull
But I think
purple off, boys. He can't pull purple off, man.
Yeah, but and should have trusted them too. I mean, like as just being a kid, like Aaron Rodgers, obviously a great guy. I was like, oh, back, I can't do it. But no, was always Steelers, big Steelers fan, like back, especially like the Troy Polamalu days.
Oh man,
but he was so fun to watch.
What an electric player he was, man.
Yeah, and
Hines Ward.
What's that?
Hines Ward.
Oh
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he'll get right in your face and like
those Steeler teams were awesome. I mean, those like from they won the Super Bowl in 07, was it, or
in and around there?
Yeah, like in around there. But like that was kind of the time when I first started kind of following like NFL, and I was like, those Steelers teams that were just like so entertaining to watch.
Yeah, no question. And like respected like quality defense back then and stuff too.
Absolutely. But Steel Curtain, man.
Yeah. But it's funny in today's sports, you'll have like players with bigger Instagram followings than like the teams. And so, like, and with being a Steelers fan, I'm not allowed to cheer for like Lamar Jackson as an example. Like always on Baltimore, like can't cheer for him. Yet like when Sunday pops up, I'm like, oh nice, he like, he did good. I like him and stuff. So
I'm a little bit torn by that with Justin Herbert right now, because I'm a Broncos fan and I love the way Herbert plays, but I'm like, oh, he's going to be killing the Broncos for the next 10 to 15 years, him and Mahomes, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm a Broncos fan and I'm ready to take the Bronco behind the barn and shoot it.
That division's tough, baby. That division's a tough
this year
one.
sucks.
Yeah, you also hate the promise that comes like, this new guy's coming up or whatever, and it doesn't pan out the way it's supposed to. It's tough to see, but every team has their time.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I mean, there has been a Super Bowl within my lifetime. How about them Cowboys, Chris?
Oh God, I've been hurting for many years. My heart hurts, but they're my team. I got to roll
that
with
division
them.
is looking like one of the strongest divisions in football, which has been kind of one of the weaker divisions in the past few years. It was like, what 8-7 or 7-9 team is making it this year? But I mean, the Cowboys, the Giants look legit, and the Eagles are. I mean,
Philly. I expected Philly to be better this year, but I'm definitely surprised that they're the last undefeated team. Like I didn't think that they'd be that good, but surprised about the Giants too. They've been a doormat. They've been a doormat for years.
Going to burn down their city.
Oh man. So Jesse, I feel like tonight has flown by, buddy, but I do want to ask one question before we get you out of here. So obviously, athletes are given adversity and have to face challenges. Was there like a defining challenge for you that, made you the athlete or the coach that you were today, just from overcoming that obstacle?
Yeah, no, great question. Honestly, like my Acadia career was like filled quite heavily with the old injury bug. Should have grabbed a little bit more milk for those bones, but so like for Acadia wise, like I think I had more surgeries than sacks and stuff like that, but when finally was able to like win my starting position, I forget it was like second or third year, and then it was me and one of the teammates there named Derek Nogler, and he taught me like what hard work was. Like got to stay in Wolfville in the summer with him. He was a few years older. And like, so we grinded out, we were going to be linebackers next to each other. And then come exhibition game, he tears his ACL for the second time in a year or so. And then game one, like went good, but then game two, like third play, I just dislocated and broke my ankle. And then some other stuff, like as far as like other injuries and whatnot. One of those things though, where I can definitely, and like have said for a long time, like happy that stuff happened. Like I got to learn so much from that adversity. Like I always say, the Industrial Revolution was after like the World War. Like it takes pain to be able to grow and thrive. And so like even at Acadia and stuff, like got to have some more time to experience what the town had to offer that like wasn't just football. And so kind of got to really like round myself out a little bit because of that injury. And then, yeah, just also like understanding what it is to like go through, like, cause I've never been an individual sport guy. But I think there's a lot to learn from just grinding it out, and whether it's, you know, like no one else is going to do that therapy for you, or no one else is going to be able to teach you how to get like back to as fast as you once were after a major injury and stuff. And so just being able to like kind of have that like self-discipline and grind through that. And then also like understanding like who's important to you. Like even like a lot of my friends today are non-football people, but during that time, like we're very supportive and like came, you know, like help you with your crutches, whatever, and stuff. And so you get to like kind of got to outline like who's really there for you and stuff. So yeah, that was like the leg one was definitely like my biggest adversity there. Yeah, no, another thing too is it showcased like how in life nothing's guaranteed. Like no matter how hard you work or how much you prepare, like something out of nowhere can totally change that you're not prepared for. And just being able to like roll with that, like not let that like totally crush who you are, what you're working towards or anything, just a little speed bump in the road, and stuff like that. But yeah, no.
That's a perfect way of putting it, man. Like to deal with that adversity. I like a quote where it says, you know, our greatest glory wasn't never not falling. It was rising when we fall. So that's what makes great athletes and great people. And you're definitely one of those, buddy. So Adam, any final thoughts here for Jesse before we go, bud?
Yeah, you know, I've heard different stories, but what was it like having Coach Cummins as a coach?
It was awesome. Like that guy is a family man, like from the fullest, and like all the Acadia football guys are 100% part of his family. Like any Acadia football player probably will tell you that you don't need a chiropractor if he's your coach, because one hug of his is gonna, you know, crack everything out, get you hooked up, and stuff. But yeah, no, I know they're not having their best year this year and stuff, but he really like pushed us in the right direction while I was there for sure.
0-4, it's killing me seeing that.
Yeah, no, it's tough to see. It's tough to see, but you know, it always cycles through and stuff. I don't know what it is with the AUS, but you know, like a team that's doing bad, like the next year they can get a little grit on their teeth for one off season. That's what's crazy about football is like the off season is what makes your season. It's the majority of the year.
So true.
You just get a couple first and second year guys that decide to stay up in that town of Wolfville and like just all summer decide we're not going 0-4 to start the season ever again. And then next, you know, like a little dynasty's created. So it's only just one off season away.
Absolutely.
They lost to Mount A for crying out loud.
Hey, and again, like Mount A at their time, but they're bouncing back, you know, and they got a nice facility up there. I know they took pride in their natural field a lot of the time when I was playing there. I know they got their AstroTurf now, but
yeah. That new field's pretty nice. I got to play lacrosse on it once, but unfortunately they tend to throw us on that dirt field beside down the hill. Yeah, they rescheduled our games from like Sunday at 7 so you could play on the nice field, because we do that road trip where we do UNB on the Saturday, then Mount A on the Sunday. We used to play like Mount A at like 1 o'clock, so it'd be home at a decent hour, but now they make you stay the whole day there. But yeah, the first time we got to play on that field, it's like, oh, it's so nice, blah blah blah. The next time, like, oh, we're gonna play on the nice field. Got these brand new white cleats. They tell us that we're going to play in the grass field in the mud and the rain because some stupid kids during their homecoming broke some bottles on the field.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? Yeah, white cleats turned brown after that. And I think I ended up getting kicked out that game too for geeking off. I mean, yeah, it was, I don't know. I was just probably pissed that I was in Sackville, Nova Scotia on a Sunday at like 8 o'clock.
Oh, hit me throwing shade, man.
Oh yeah, no, I don't want to throw too much shade at the Mount A lacrosse program because they've done a lot to improve themselves year after year. But yeah, I mean that field is a nice facility. We need to get Acadia back in that league though, because I always miss that trip up there.
Great,
Yeah,
great
yeah.
town.
Yeah, I don't know what the liquor rules are at a football game at Acadia, but I know at lacrosse they didn't really have the security and people were just crushing tall boys in the stands. So
amazing. Yeah, no, a little bit of liquid courage makes a good crowd. Too much makes a bad crowd, but a little bit, makes that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just can't cut them off at halftime. I think it was the quote from like Blue Mountain State. It's just like, oh, you can't cut off a bunch of football fans at halftime because they're drunk enough to do damage, but not drunk enough to pass out.
There you go.
I love that.
Oh man, well, Jesse, thanks so much for coming on the show tonight, man. It was a blast chatting a little football with you, and good luck with the rest of the season. Can't wait to hear how it plays out. I know you guys have a big one on Friday against Bayview, so go Cheetahs, go! And thanks again for coming on, man. We really appreciate you.
Yeah. How many weeks left in the high school season there? I think there's only like two left, is there?
Yeah. So just 2 guaranteed games, and I think we need to win 1 or 2 to make playoffs, but obviously want to win out there. But got our 2 biggest tests. I mean, end of the year we're supposed to have the right chess pieces in the right spots and see what kind of goes down. But yeah, Bayview's got a good program, and Auburn's kind of the reigning champs there. So a nice way to end off the season.
Yeah, well, it'll be fun to follow along in those last 2 weeks. But thanks for coming on the show. It was awesome to see you, Jesse.
Yeah, no, it's so nice seeing you. And
it's quite crazy, kind of growing up together. No, it's awesome to see us come out the better side of it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no, it's no, you're all like really freaking awesome people. So yeah, no, it was nice.
Yeah, we try our best, and
Thanks.
I'm stumbling over my words now, but no, we appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, no question. Thanks for having me, guys. All right, well, I'll definitely be tuning in some future episodes there. So keep the guests coming. Excited to see it.
Sounds good, buddy. And thank you to all of our listeners. That'll do it for BHD Sports Podcast, episode 17. Thank you. Have a great night.